Good evening, and welcome to the third episode of Tuesday Tarot. Tonight we delve through the depths of the subconscious as we discuss Key 2, the High Priestess. She has the lunar crescent at her feet, a horn diadem on her head, with a globe in the middle place and a large solar cross on her chest. The scroll in her hands is inscribed with the word Torah, signifying the greater law, the secret law, and the second sense of the word. It is partly covered by her mantle to show that some things are implied and some spoken. She is seated between the white and black pillars of the mystic temple, and the veil of the temple is behind her. It is embroidered with palms and pomegranates. The vestments are flowing and gauzy, and the mantle suggests light, a shimmering radiance. She has been called occult science on the threshold of the sanctuary of Isis, but she is really the secret church, the house which is of God and man. She represents also the second marriage of the prince, who is no longer of this world. She is the spiritual bride and mother, the daughter of the stars and the higher Garden of Eden. She is, in fine, the queen of the borrowed light, but this is the light of all. She is the moon, nourished by the milk of the supernal mother. The title High Priestess means literally chief feminine elder or primary receptive aspect of the life power. Let's start with some key ideas. The two pillars. The two pillars between which she sits are those of Solomon and of Hermes. Opposite in colour, but alike in form, they symbolize the active and passive modes of the life power's self-expression. Active, the white pillar bearing the letter Yod, initial of the word Yakin, and passive, the black pillar bearing the letter Bet, initial of the word Boaz. The pillars represent three laws of association of ideas and of memory. We associate things similar, things near together in space or time, things sharply contrasted. The High Priestess sits between the pillars because she is the equilibrating power between the yes and the no, the initiative and the resistance, the light and the darkness. The capitals of the pillars, borrowed from Egyptian architecture, are in the form of lotus buds. They are buds, not open flowers. The reason the capitals are buds is a type of latent or undeveloped power. In the state of subconsciousness here symbolized, the forces of the subconsciousness have not yet come into full bloom. The silver crown. The High Priestess wears a silver crown, reminding us that silver is the metal of the moon. This crown shows the crescents of the waxing and waning moon, with her full orb between. It is the horned diadem of the Egyptian Isis, another of the feminine deities personifying the root matter of all things. The cube. She sits on a cubic stone, a symbol of salt, which crystallizes in perfect cubes, and a reminder of the saltiness of that mystical sea which is associated with the Virgin Mary. Since the time of Pythagoras, moreover, it has been taught openly that the cube is the regular solid representing earth or actual material manifestation. Thus, the High Priestess sits on a cube because the basis of all subconscious mental activity is what has actually occurred, what actually exists. The cubical throne symbolizes truth, because from every face it is essentially the same. It is made of stone, and Eben, the Hebrew word for stone, is an esoteric symbol for union, wisdom, and life. The blue robe. The High Priestess wears a blue-white robe suggesting coldness and moisture, which are the astrological properties of the moon and characteristics of the element of water. The folds of this robe show a shimmering radiance like that of moonlight on water, and below the white pillar, this garment seems to flow out of the picture like a stream. It symbolizes the stream of consciousness. In tarot, the robe of the High Priestess is the source of the river and of the pools which appear in several subsequent major trumps. The solar cross. The solar cross of equal arms on the High Priestess's chest shows the union of positive and negative, male and female, active and passive, originating and duplicating elements. It also foreshadows the completion of the entire cycle represented by the 22 tarot keys, because this cross of equal arms is the original form of the Hebrew letter Tav, the final letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Again, this same cross stands for Hecate, who, amongst other things, was the patroness of all crossroads, according to Greek mythology. Finally, the arms of the cross are related to the number 4, or square of 2, as are the square sides of the cube. The scroll. The scroll in the woman's lap is that of memory. In some versions of this key, it is a book half open. This is the record of past events, of all mental and physical states, indelibly impressed in subconsciousness. Subconsciousness is both universal and personal. Thus, the memory record includes the past events of race history, the past events of the history of the planet, and the past events of this whole cycle of cosmic manifestation. Hence, the scroll is inscribed with the word Torah, which is the phonetic equivalent of the Hebrew Torah or law. Yet, this word is also related to the Latin rota, from which the very name tarot is derived. Natural law is the cosmic subconscious record of every event in the innumerable cycles and sub-cycles of the life power's self-expression. The High Priestess holds the scroll of universal law and is contemplating the images she receives. Subconsciousness keeps a perfect record of all experience and therefore has perfect memory. Not only does it retain every experience of a single personality, but it holds a summary of the race experience, and this is the source of the greater part of our intuitions and of our scientific discoveries. Let us take a look at some of the correspondences. Here is a summary of the key correspondences. Name, High Priestess. Key number, 2. Hebrew letter, Gimel. Signification, camel. Color, blue. Note, G sharp. Gematria, 3. Astrology, moon. Alchemy, silver. Let's take a look at these correspondences in more detail. The number 2. In the 2, we experience the very essence of number more intensely than in any other numbers. That essence of being to bind many together into one, to equate plurality and unity. The number 2, as a symbol of duplication, reflection, copying, transcription, reproduction, and so on, relates definitely to memory, the basic function of the subconsciousness. The number 2 also suggests the ideas of duplicity, deception, untruth, illusion, error, and delusion. This is correct because the subconsciousness repeats and elaborates the mistaken results of faulty, superficial self-conscious observation. Being at all times uncritically amenable to suggestion, and at the same time the channel of telepathic communication, the subconsciousness is the source of the most foolish notions which cause our maladjustments. Among the meanings of the number 2 is subordination. This word gives a clue to the relationship existing between the subconsciousness, represented by key 2, and the objective mind or self-consciousness, represented by the magician. Geometrically, the number 2 is the line, the extension of the point. This is related to the subconscious power just mentioned, whereby the consequences of conscious thought and observation are developed. The moon. The moon is the celestial body assigned to Gimel. The moon is the only planet which orbits the Earth. It spends one half of its orbit between the Earth and the Sun, and the other half between the Earth and Pluto. Thus, it serves as a link between the outer and inner planets. The moon is the astrological symbol of personality and of the memories carried from one incarnation to another by the subconscious mind. The second key of the tarot is connected closely with the symbolism of the moon and subconsciousness. The subconscious mind is that which is concerned with memory, building the body, the environment, and so forth. Blue. The walls of the building are blue, and so are the vestments of this virgin priestess. Blue, the colour assigned to the moon, and the element of water, represents the primary root substance, the cosmic mind stuff, which is the element particularly attributed to the creative world. The High Priestess herself is a symbol of this root substance. The principle of mentalism embodies the idea that all is mind. The universe is made up of mental energy. This primary mind stuff is called, in the East, Prakriti. It is always symbolized as water and as a virgin. In properly colored keys, the gown of the High Priestess is represented as flowing water. The moon shines with the light reflected from the sun like a mirror. This is why it is a symbol of reflection and duplication. The crescent moon has been called the cup of Isis and symbolizes receptivity. These factors are essential to the faculty of memory, one of the primary attributes of the subconscious mind. The Hebrew letter Gimel. Gimel, the third letter of the Hebrew alphabet, is a double letter. Its name means camel. Because camels are used for transportation, for carrying goods from one place to another, the letter names suggest travel, communication, commerce, and like ideas. As a double letter, Gimel designates a pair of opposites, peace and strife. For as in the world, peace and war are mainly dictated by the conditions of commerce, communication, and transportation, so in the human personality, adjustment or maladjustment are largely determined by the response of the subconsciousness to the things and people with whom we are brought into communication. The numeral value of Gimel is 3. The 13th path, the uniting intelligence. I am the uniting intelligence, linking all opposites together in the bond of perfect peace. The uniting intelligence, the path leading from Keter to Tiferet, is the mode of consciousness attributed to Gimel. As transportation brings distant places nearer together and establishes communication between them, so does the subconsciousness, which is the connecting medium between human personalities, that which unites us to one another regardless of distance. The High Priestess in Tarot, associated with the moon, is related to the 13th path of the uniting intelligence, to which the power of recollection is also related. What we call the laws of nature are the life power's perfect memory of the orderly sequence of its self-expression. Hence, the moon is receptive, a provider of life, and has the power to build forms. The ultimate mystical experience is the path of union, union with the source, union with God. This union is brought about by the experience of divine knowledge in Darth. Here we confront the mystery of the abyss and the empty room. This is the path that connects the consciousness of the adepts with that of the masters. Through our family and society, we have developed subconscious thought patterns which become poorly balanced before we reach the age of reason. Those subconscious patterns can be re-educated once we recognize that they no longer serve us or form part of who we are or desire to be. Many live in fear of the subconscious, whereas she is often our best friend. She is a tyrant, but what kind of tyrant shall she be? A good or a bad one? The choice is yours and depends upon the messages and images you furnish her by the thoughts you habitually think. By meditating on the High Priestess card, you have access to the subconscious of the cosmos. The subconscious is the recipient of the messages furnished her by the Creator. If we meditate on her, we can not only touch the unconscious memory of humanity, we can also use her to strengthen our own memory. If we direct our subconscious wisely, we will no longer be at the mercy of unserving thoughts, but of the wisdom of the cosmic mind. That concludes our short discussion on Key 2, the High Priestess. Thanks for listening. We look forward to joining with you to discuss Key 3, the Empress, in our next episode.